Let's talk about TaxSlayer versus TurboTax, okay, which is really best for this year. Let's have a conversation about that. So here's an overview I want you to pay attention to. Basically, when you actually close your eyes and think about TaxSlayer versus TurboTax, those two software tools differ in key aspects that cater to distinct user needs. So we're talking about niches, we're talking about target audiences. TaxSlayer offers a cost-effective solution with various pricing tiers and is better for self-employed individuals, while, in our view, TurboTax provides a more user-friendly and comprehensive experience, particularly for those with complex tax situations or businesses wanting seamless integration with accounting software. And ultimately, the choice between TaxSlayer and TurboTax depends on individual preferences, tax requirements, and budget considerations. So the bottom line here is that whether you go with TaxSlayer or TurboTax depends on your unique situation. Okay. Now let's quickly look at TurboTax versus TaxSlayer. First, let's start with TurboTax. So TurboTax actually started doing a tax preparation software in the mid 80s. So that's about more than 40 years they've been in business now. And so the company was soon purchased by Intuit, which has really led to some of its popularity. And Intuit also makes an accounting software called QuickBooks. Everybody knows QuickBooks, which millions of companies use to handle their books. But TurboTax stands on its own. It offers a user-friendly design and straightforward step-by-step guidance. What I'm trying to say here is that when you go with TurboTax, you can be sure that you are under the umbrella of a brand, of the Intuit brand. So this is a pretty strong brand. And TurboTax has a free filing option that allows you to file your federal return and one state return at no cost. However, that's really a big however. If you want to go with a free version, you need to actually have the standard deduction and not itemized. And also your income level should be under a certain threshold. Okay, so basically the free option only supports simple returns with Form 1040. If you want to itemize deduction with Schedule A, or if you need to use any other forms, you need to upgrade to a paid plans. So there are actually paid plans that run from $59 to $119 for federal filing, and state filing is $54 per state with paid plans. Now let's look at TaxSlayer. So when you think about TaxSlayer, there are 5 electronic filing options from TaxSlayer. The simple free option allows you to file simple tax returns for free. Your first state return is also free. If you need to file another form, you will need to upgrade to at least the classic option, which costs about $20 or $22 for federal filing and $39.95 per state filing. Okay, and this option does not include much else in terms of features, really, if you want to think about it. So that's just like at a glance when we talk about TurboTax versus TaxSlayer, what you should really keep in mind. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. Let's talk about usage here. So when should you use TaxSlayer versus TurboTax? Let's first start with TaxSlayer. So basically, TaxSlayer, in our view, is great for self-employed individuals and 1099 contractors seeking advice from a tax professional. So if you sign up for TaxSlayer's premium or self-employed plan, you will receive unlimited access to a team of tax professionals who specialize in self-employed tax issues. So this is kind of cool. And TaxSlayer is also great for Schedule C businesses looking to save money on tax filing. So TaxSlayer offers a Schedule C filing with its self-employed plan, which is about $64.95 for federal returns. And this is kind of cool because when you think about it, this is almost half the cost of a TurboTax's equivalent plan. There's also a fee of $39.95 per state as compared to TurboTax's $59 per state. And TaxSlayer is also great for taxpayers who require a higher level of audit assistance. So this is kind of cool. So TaxSlayer really available with the premium and self-employed plans. This gives you access to a TaxSlayer's staff of IRS certified experts who can prepare you for a potential IRS audit. And so this service is available for 3 years after the IRS accepts your tax return. So this is kind of cool, having that chronological flexibility. And what you also have, if you own rental property, TaxSlayer is the better solution in our view because it allows you to prepare your federal tax return with a classic plan for only $34.95 and $39.95 for each state tax return. For your federal return, TurboTax requires you to upgrade to a more expensive plan, charging $129 for a federal return and $59 per state return. So that's for TaxSlayer. What about TurboTax? So when you think about TurboTax, I want you to think about a tool that is great for QuickBooks users seeking a streamlined tax solution, taxpayers who want to import crypto transactions, small businesses that need full-service tax preparation and filing, and taxpayers who prefer desktop software. So when you think about TurboTax, I want you to think about a service/software tool that's more expensive, but also more comprehensive. So, hey, listen, this level of detail, this granularity actually has a cost. That's why, you have more features, you have more capabilities, you have more functionalities, you have a direct integration to QuickBooks Online, and that's why taxpayers is by all means more expensive. You also can think about an alternative. You can think about it. You have H&R Block, for instance. You have Jackson Hewitt. You have a lot of players. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about TurboTax versus TaxSlayer. I've been talking about cost, and now I really want to dig a little deeper into pricing. Okay. So when we talk about TaxSlayer versus TurboTax, it really depends. Now, what I want to do is I want to really sort of compare and contrast every single element, so you have a clear idea which one is really great. Now, right off the bat, it's fair to say that TurboTax is more expensive. That's for sure. But I want to really look at the specific returns. So let's say you have a Form 1040 only. So TaxSlayer has a simple free version, and TurboTax has a basic version. So you have zero federal, and you have zero federal at both tools, and you have $0 per state also. So bottom line is, if you have on the simpler free sort of return, you don't pay anything at the federal level, but also at the state level. If you have Form 1040 with schedules 1 to 3, TaxSlayer, you qualify for the classic pricing tier. For TurboTax, you go automatically to the deluxe. So they're charging you for federal, and TaxSlayer is charging you $34.95, while TurboTax is charging you nearly double, so $69 at the federal level. And for the state, TaxSlayer is charging you $39.95 per state, and TurboTax is charging you $59. Let's say if you have Form 1040 with rental, property, investments, or cryptocurrency, for TaxSlayer, you have the classic. You qualify for the classic. TurboTax, you go with the premier. So we are talking about pricing that goes from TaxSlayer $34.95 to $129 for TurboTax. You can see 1 to 3. That's really huge, really huge. Let's say you have Form 1040 with self-employed income. You qualify for the self-employed sort of tier on both software tools, and you go from $64.95 TaxSlayer federal to $129 federal TurboTax. For a state, you go from $39.95 per state for $59 to $59 for TurboTax. So you can see that TurboTax is way more expensive, okay? And the thing here is that TaxSlayer doesn't offer desktop software and lacks full-service tax preparation and filing. However, it charges significantly less, as you just saw, for DIY online filing and assisted filing. Unfortunately, it doesn't support business forms such as Form 1065, 1120, and 1120S, so it is kind of limited to only individual returns, including Schedule C. Let's talk about user experience. So TaxSlayer versus TurboTax. What about live assistance? What is really, who's really winning here? So one thing I want to say for sure is that basically you can communicate to TaxSlayer with TaxSlayer via phone, email, and live chat. Not a problem. That's really good. For TurboTax, you have phone chat and one-way video conferencing. So you have more options here. And qualifications of professionals in both services, you have CPAs, enrolled agents, or tax specialists, including tax attorneys. And you have Tax Pro assistance for individual returns, and you have Tax Pro assistance for business returns available only on TurboTax. You do not have this in TaxSlayer. And you also have full service filing for business returns on TurboTax. You do not have it on TaxSlayer. So you can see that TaxSlayer is more complete, is more granular, it's more comprehensive than TaxSlayer. One thing I want to say here is that Both TaxSlayer and TurboTax provide live assistance for individual returns, but only TurboTax offers assistance with business returns, as you just saw. And now the only thing is that the live assistant that you have with TurboTax is limited as of right now to 14 states. And so full service tax preparation and filing is unavailable with TaxSlayer, but TurboTax offers it for all states for both business and individual returns. So this is kind of cool. And the one of the differences that I want to really point out here is that when we talk about TaxSlayer versus TurboTax in terms of helpful tools, they both have accuracy guarantee, they both have audit support, they both have a tax calculator, they both have a free plan. The only thing that TurboTax has that TaxSlayer doesn't have are deduction maximizer, cryptocurrency support, and data import. So clearly, TurboTax wins the battle of TurboTax versus Slayer when it comes to helpful tools. TaxSlayer lacks many features that TurboTax has, such as deduction maximizer, cryptocurrency support, and the ability to import data. Okay. However, both offer an accuracy guarantee, as I just showed you. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about TurboTax versus TaxSlayer. Let's talk about the mobile app. So when it comes to TurboTax with TaxSlayer, basically they both have iOS and Android, not a problem in terms of availability. You can talk live with a tax specialist. You can actually prepare more complicated returns, something that TurboTax you can't do through the app, but TaxSlayer app is pretty fine, not a problem. You can e-file return. You can scan it and upload your W-2. You have IRS refund tracking. You can do so through the app. And in terms of viewing, printing, and saving returns as PDF, you can't do it through the app. Okay, it's one of those things where you have to go to the desktop version. What about customer service and ease of use? They both are easy to use. So TaxSlayer and TurboTax have a great user interface. So the UI is fantastic. TaxSlayer is easy to use. TurboTax it has a clean and a simple to navigate user interface. In terms of support channels, I think I just said it before. You have phone, email, and live chat for TaxSlayer. For TurboTax, you have phone, live chat, and one-way video conferencing. And you also have expert help that's offered in both services. And there are additional services, though, in case you want to really upgrade. So zero out-of-pocket fees, Ask a Tax Pro, and tax refund calculator for TaxSlayer. For TurboTax, you have self-employed expense estimator and check your refund status. Okay, so basically you have a compilation of ways to actually reach out to either service. This is kind of cool, and we love the fact that you can get help within a reasonable time. Like a lot of services, they want you to really wait on the phone forever, and TurboTax doesn't do that. So this is really cool. One thing I want to say here is that when it comes to user interface, I know that I said this before, but TurboTax is really, both are good, but TurboTax is slightly better. Okay, so TurboTax wins here because it has a clean and easy to navigate interface. This is kind of important. And also, TurboTax also offers a variety of customer support options, including phone, live chat, and one-way video conferencing. Now, the one-way video conferencing is great for full service users as well as those who are looking for an extensive help center with FAQs and articles. Okay, this is kind of cool. And for those who prefer more personalized assistance, TurboTax Live provides access to real tax experts who will actually offer on-demand advice and review your tax return before filing. So this is kind of cool. And Live full service users receive 2 free meetings with a tax specialist, both at the beginning of the process and again before filing your return. And TurboTax also maintains a community forum where users can engage with fellow taxpayers, share experiences, and seek guidance from experienced users. So this makes filing your taxes both fun and simple by eliminating unnecessary tax jargon. It's one of those things where when you file taxes, it can be a little complicated, right? Folks are anxious, people are stressed out. So having a community where you can actually share you can share data, you can share knowledge, you can share anecdotes, you can share all kinds of stories and tales, everything. This is really cool. And so the cool thing with TurboTax also is that you will come across info bubbles, and explainers, which makes it easier for anyone to use more complex features like depreciation or expense calculators. And so TurboTax is really great when it comes to UI, and the clean design really are fantastic. What about user reviews? Now, user reviews, TurboTax also wins here because it has more positive reviews than TaxSlayer. So it's one of those things where you have to really ask yourself. I mean, TurboTax has been in business for a longer period than TaxSlayer, so that counts for something also. Okay, and one thing I want to say is that even though TurboTax actually is above slightly, those two tools, in other words, TaxSlayer and TurboTax, they both score high consistently when it comes to customer reviews online. So this is really fantastic. So what is the verdict here? So TurboTax versus TaxSlayer, which one should go for? First of all, are those two tools legit? Yes, they are legit. Those are legit companies. Those are pretty sound, pretty safe companies. Okay, your data is safe, not a problem. We would recommend any of those. We would recommend those two companies any day, anytime, not a problem. Now, which one is the best? Which one is the best for you? Now, TaxSlayer stands out with its affordable pricing and user-friendly interface, making it, in our view, an excellent choice for individuals with straightforward tax situations. Meanwhile, TurboTax actually excels with its robust customer support and comprehensive range of tools, making it ideal for both individuals and businesses seeking assisted or full-service filing. Okay, so it's one of those things where you got to really see where you situate yourself. Are you looking for a straightforward? Do you have a straightforward tax situation, or do you have something more convoluted? So depending upon your tax situation, you might have to actually go with either or. So the thing is that the best option for you will depend on your specific situation. So if cost is an issue for you, right off the bat, if cost is like, okay, this is a big no-no, then you go with TaxSlayer. That's for sure. Don't even think about it, because TurboTax is way more expensive. But if basically budget is not an issue for you, and you're looking for something more quote unquote sophisticated, something more like something broader, something deeper, something more like more comprehensive, then you want to go with TurboTax. That's for sure. Okay, and if you're looking for also in terms of user experience, that's more seamless, that's more straightforward, that's more seamless, then you want to actually go for TurboTax. Okay, and because there are certain forms. First of all, you can't really file any business form through TaxSlayer. So if you have a business, you are going to go to another provider anyway. So that's why I'm just telling you, if you are looking for a comprehensive solution, go with TurboTax. If you're going for something very cheap for a simple tax situation, go with TaxSlayer. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, let me do a quick recap here. I was just going through a quick compare and contrast with TurboTax and TaxSlayer. So I did an overview. I talked about the usage, the cost, the UX, the verdict, and now I'm doing the recap. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.